Hey, this is Steve Wagner, Virtual Properties Realty. I'm going to great lengths to try to make sure everyone that's considering this program knows what what's the opportunity that's in front of them. I don't want them to be misled. I want them to understand the strengths and possibly, I won't say weaknesses, but some of the things that the obstacles that they're going to have to contend with in this program. So full disclosure, total transparency, that's what this video is all about. So I want to answer the same question two different ways. There's two different ways of asking the same question. Why are my income numbers different than what I'm expecting? It could be higher, it could be lower. And so I want people to go down a little checklist and be able to figure that out. What factors affect my total income, totals and so forth. So let's go down. The five most obvious factors are we used your level ones. Those are the people you directly recruit in. We use for the $86,400 goal that we're setting there. We use four. Again, maybe this whole title is what does it take to get $86,400? Well, again, you have to hit those numbers, and that's net. So if somebody were to drop out, and then again, I'll address that later. Then you just have to keep those numbers. At the end of year 5, you have to have 20 level ones. Okay, so that's 4 a year. 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, of all the level ones you bring in, they need to recruit 2 a year. Okay, and that's what the program is there. If they're not recruiting 2 a year, or if they're recruiting more than 2 a year, you should probably making more money than you expect. If they're not recruiting 2 a year, then you'll probably make less than what you're expecting. So that's the number 2 thing. The average number of units sold. If you're recruiting a bunch of newer agents, and 6 is not a big number. Some new agents come in and hit 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 or more. But a lot of times they fumble and bumble around, and sometimes they never really lock into the industry. As you know, it's got a 90% success rate. But we do all we can, as to try to help them and so forth. But some are just not. It's just not for them. So, but anyways, no matter who you recruit, it's better to recruit people that have a long tradition of making sales. But if you're going to go below, then your income may be less if you're averaging only 4 units a year. Now you may be recruiting nothing but $1 million or mostly the $1 million club people, and your numbers should be way high. So this could go either way. Just make sure you understand that. The average price point, the average price point in Duluth now is I think around $220, $230. When I was first kind of coming up with this, I think it was below 200,000 or right at 200,000. So if you start moving into other price points in the city, or maybe recruiting people that do commercial and land, the price point is going to be a lot higher, so it's going to be easier. But it just kind of depends on the people you're recruiting. They may be doing the units, but they're only averaging 150,000 price point, and that's going to affect your bottom line there. Then also, the co-op fee. I have 3%, and I know a lot of the times we only get 2.5%, but sometimes we get a double dipper, and sometimes, I think 3% is accurate, but if it ends up being higher or lower, commercial and land could be a lot higher, then your figures could be higher. If it's lower, then your figures could be lower. So trying to then go down a little bit more. Then some of the other factors you want to consider. Those are the main first 5, but the average split type. Now, over 85% of our agents are on the 90%. I ran all the numbers on 90%. If I started to factor in, then it would just get way too confusing. So that if there's, something you might want to point at to the thing and say, that I only use the 90%. Again, I'm trying to keep it simple. I feel comfortable with that because 85% of the people coming in are on the 90%. We pay a passive residual income no matter what split they come on, but there's a little bit different payout, on each of the other splits and so forth. Then also the percentage of your downline joining the ambassador plan. We want them to, in order for you to make a level 2, we want them to join. They need to join the ambassador plans. Some of them may not do that. Now, this is part of your job, is to try to keep them engaged and it's kind of silly not to join the ambassador plan. I think we're going to have a high percentage of people joining the plan. As you know, for the last part of 2015, from July all the way to the end of December, there'll be no $15 a month charge. There's almost no reason not to join the ambassador plan. A good someone that's really good at working this is really helping those people understand the plan and helping them kind of get one or two on their downline and so forth. Once you get one on your downline, it just does one a year, you're more than paying for the $15 a month. So all you got to do is get one person that does one sale a year, and you're good to go on that. So the other factor might be the timing when the recruits come in. Again, as I was saying earlier, if most of your recruits are coming in at the end of the year, your numbers are going to be lower. If most of your recruits are coming in at the beginning of the year, your numbers will be possibly higher. So then also, it could be affected by certain referral fees. We do have the mentoring program that's good for possibly getting people in, but you may be they may be making sales and you go, hey, why are my numbers so low? Well, there could be referral fees paid, mentoring fees. Sometimes when we're bringing agents in, we'll understand they're leaving maybe a KW or, one of these companies with the bad splits, and we're honoring them until their cap goes. There's certain things that could be VPR incentives or other expenses. There could be some of these things that you're looking at the volume and you're expecting more money, and it's not what it is, and that's something to go look at and to do some investigation, and that's probably where you're going to find it. Downline attrition. Now the good thing about that, I don't really factor it in that much because we have always had like a 90-something%, like 95, around there, or higher actually, stay rate per agent. We have one of the lowest attrition rates in the entire industry, and it's very negligible, but it is possible you might lose somebody, and you just kind of have to recruit an extra one, maybe a fifth one the next year or something like that. But that's something to look at if some of your people did not stay. That's part of the whole reason why we started the ambassador program. Is now they're in your downline and you're another eyes and ears and helper for virtual properties and keeping what's already a 95% rate. We can think that should only go up, and especially then if they can get a downline, and the prospects of making additional passive residual income. It's really going to be hard for them to find something better, under any circumstance. So, and then the last thing is number of downline capping out. The only thing is a lot of people think, oh, they cap out, but remember our cap is after they've put in $5,900. Well, that's almost $60,000 that they've earned on a 90%. That's going to probably be less than 10%. Probably like between 5 and 10% of the agents will cap out. When they cap out, it's good and bad. That means that they've, that you've earned a lot of money with that particular agent. They bolstered up your number. But if you start running them down an Excel spreadsheet, you may come up a little bit lower if you have a bunch of people capping out, earning $200,000, and they've capped out. You might be, hey, where's my money? Again, one more time, I do not anticipate that really affecting your numbers that much, because 90-something% of our 90% agents are not going to cap out. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is the case. And so that's why we like to use the figure of 6 units per year. I wouldn't hesitate bringing someone on that only does 3 or 4 units a year up until 20 or so. I mean, get us. There's no actually too high of a number, but money can be made. The company's always done well with agents that aren't $1 million producers, and you'll do well in this program as well. Okay, well, hopefully this video has helped you understand the factors necessary for earning passive residual income, and just gives you a better perspective on things. Thank you so much for listening.